Just take a few deep breaths. And if you want, just close your eyes or not, it's up to you. And just find your feet on the ground, set your feet on the floor, and gradually let your breath deepen into your belly. You know, if sometimes our breath is happening on the upper chest, shallow breathing, and that is not conducive to grounding and relaxation. So just let your breath deepen into your belly and send your feet on the ground. So your attention comes to your lower body. When we say your attention, you can imagine your attention like a liquid in your feet, for example, filling your feet, and that liquid is aware. So it's a presence in liquid form that is aware, and that awareness helps you be aware of what's happening in your feet, whatever sensations may be there, perhaps some pressure from the contact onto the floor, the contact with your socks, you know, if you're wearing socks, of course, or direct contact with the floor, or anything else. There may be some discomfort or something else. Then gradually let that liquid attention flow into your lower legs. Again, notice your breath and let it deepen into your belly, even as you continue being aware of your lower legs. Then with the next breath, let that liquid attention flow into your thighs. There is no efforting required to do this. Just very gentle shifting of the attention, just like when you are looking at something and then you hear a noise to the left and you turn your eyes to the left. There is no efforting required, it just happens automatically. And so it's just like that, turning your attention to your feet and your legs, shifting from your lower legs to include also the thighs. So you remain aware of your feet, of your lower legs, and your thighs. And then you can allow, if you want, that liquid attention to flow into your hands, filling your hands with this liquid presence. It is like a liquid substance that is palpable. Could be soft, could be more dense. In whatever way it appears is fine. And it can be different in different parts of your body, and it can be different at different times. And let it flow also into your forearms, making you aware of whatever sensations are happening there. and into your elbows and into your upper arms. And again, from time to time, pay attention to your breath and let it become a deeper breath. And then back to your arms and legs. And let that liquid attention flow into your shoulders. Then from there, you can go into your neck and your throat and into your head, into your jaw and your mouth, the upper jaw, the occiput, the back of your head where it connects with your neck, the upper part of your head, and the sides, the left side, the right side, and the inside of your head, your brain, and all those different glands. The pituitary gland, the pineal gland. Whether you know where they are or not, it doesn't matter. Just the idea of saturating this totality in and out. And now let it include your face, your lips and your nose, your cheeks and your eyes, and your forehead. And let that liquid presence caress your jaw joint and relax it also. And let it go into your tongue and let the tongue relax in the bottom, the floor of your mouth. And with the next breath, let this whole liquid attention flow down your chest and back, relaxing them also, making you aware of them as well. And into your upper abdomen, stomach area, into the middle abdomen and lower abdomen, lower back, and into your pelvis. Perhaps you can feel the pelvic floor relaxing, settling. Just notice as you settle in your pelvis what kind of experience does that promote? Maybe a sense of, oh, I'm more grounded, or oh, my shoulders can relax. It's like they have something under them. My chest relaxes, my belly, my solar plexus. Let's go. In a deeper breath again and let it settle in your pelvis again. Notice also the connection from your pelvis through your thighs and legs and feet into the floor and through the floor into the earth. connecting with our Earth, our planet, our home, or as many people think of the Earth as our mother. The biosphere of our planet, of which our bodies are a part of. Notice what happens when you think like this, when your attention shifts to a connection with the earth, in whatever way you regard the earth as home, as mother, as our biosphere, the ecosystem, a living organism, what happens to your experience? Just be aware of that. Like for me, when I think of it that way, I feel, oh, Mother Earth is holding me. I'm in good hands. Just notice your response. Again, notice your breath. Perhaps notice your breath in your belly. As your breath expands and extends into your belly, kind of pushes the belly up or out. And you don't have to push to make it happen, just naturally, however it wants to happen, as it happens. No effort required. Just remain aware of the movement of your breath as it moves your belly on the inhalation and the exhalation. Filling up and then emptying. Just notice what happens as you continue paying attention to that movement of the breath. Perhaps the breath slows down and deepens, becomes more relaxed. And notice how that affects your body. Perhaps a relaxation, or maybe not. Perhaps there is a settling down into the lower parts of the body and into the ground. Or maybe not. Whatever is happening, just notice it. You don't have to make it happen one way or the other. As you remain aware of your belly and your pelvis, let your attention expand to your whole body again. And then, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and become aware of your environment as well, more. Notice what happens if you actually stay connected to your body. I keep sensing, remember, oh yeah, my feet are on the ground, on the floor. Oh, my hands are in my lap, or whatever, wherever they are. Just notice if you periodically keep coming back to your body, even as you're listening and paying attention. We're not trying to accomplish anything in particular by doing that. Just notice what happens for you. So, again, welcome to all of you. My name is Andreas Mouskos. You can see my name, I guess, on the little box there. And I am a teacher of the Diamond Approach. And our Zoom host is Peter. And Peter is also, there he is, waving at all of us. Peter is also a Diamond Approach teacher. So welcome again to all of you. So this morning, or whatever time it is actually, wherever you are, many times we get people from Europe and from Africa. So it's hard to know exactly what time it is for all of you. I know some of you are on the East Coast. So this morning, I want to talk about the subject of the question of finding calm in the storm. Oh, by the way, if you can put your camera on, it's much nicer to be speaking to faces rather than just boxes with names. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Good. So we want to really explore this subject of, you know, finding calm in the storm. The subtitle, I think, is something like Inner Silence and Resilience in Turbulent Times. We live in a time of unprecedented uncertainty and upheaval. Actually, I think that's quite obvious to all of us. Big changes, political conflicts, wars, economic instability, climate crisis, pollution. Our external world seems to be in constant flux. Changes are happening very fast. And these kinds of changes happen periodically in human history. If you look at the last few hundred centuries, every about 200 years, there is a big upheaval, a big shift, big change in our world. And this time it is happening. We've been in it for about 10 years, and it's predicted to last another 10 years or so. But this time the shift is much bigger than what happened the last uh, 3, 4 times of these big shifts. And say it's a good shift, it's not a bad thing. But we also have the climate crisis, which is a big event, of course. So anyway, our external world is an upheaval, and in the face of such an upheaval, we can feel it can feel almost impossible to find true calm and silence and clarity. So this morning we've started with this simple guided meditation to ground ourselves. Yeah. And so you might have noticed how even in this short pause, uh, there was some kind of a shift. Maybe there was a space where something deeper can emerge. I don't know exactly what your experience was, of course. I don't want to be putting, well, not exactly words in your mouth, but I should say, put relaxation in your experience. But hopefully you did have some relaxation, some calm, some grounding. But whatever was there was some kind of shift, maybe a deepening, maybe a relaxation, maybe a quietness. So when we leave this quiet space inside, this more relaxed state inside, and return to the world, uh, our sense of calm, of relaxation, of stillness, of peace is often fleeting. It kind of gets dominated, gets disturbed by all the external concerns and events. But the question is, of course, why is it so hard to live our lives in inner stillness, calm, and peace? Why do we lose our ground so easily? You know, and I mean, for everybody is different. Some of us have more capacity to stay grounded, some of us less. Some of us, of course, all of us have more capacity in certain situations and less in others. So depending on the challenge, you know. So so the idea is, to understand why it happens, because we cannot remedy the situation if we don't understand why it happens. So that's what I would like to explore with you this morning, or I should say today. So we need to look at how our ego self functions. And then we will explore how the Dhamma approach, the spiritual path that we are exploring, we are from the perspective of which I am speaking this morning, how the Dhamma approach offers us a way to a deeper, more enduring ground from where we can live our daily lives. So let's take a look at the ego self. So uh, in this view of the Diamond approach, we understand that the ego self is shaped through what we call object relations. And when I say what we call object relations, is not a specific Diamond approach term. Is a term that has been used in psychology, of course, for I don't know for how many years, probably over 100 years or so. But so these are patterns, object relations. I'll explain a little bit about what it is. There are patterns of interaction and identification that formed in our early life from our earliest relationships. Yeah? So these patterns were established early on and they influence how we see ourselves, how we see the world, and how we respond to the world. Okay? So let me give you a little more detail of how this works. So when we are very little babies, um, we are, of course, innocent, pure consciousness, or pure presence. We are what we really are, our true nature, before the conditioning, before we acquired an ego self, a personality. But pretty soon, of course, as soon as we are born, our interaction with the world begins. We feel hungry, for example. We feel cold. Yeah. And we don't know what these things are. We don't have words. We don't have thoughts about these things. They're just broad experiences that saturate our consciousness. And that creates a sense of, like, if I'm hungry and uncomfortable, it's like that's my subjective experience, my sense of what's happening here, sense of primitive sense of self, hungry, empty, maybe some pain. And then, you know, we cry. We express that spontaneously, instinctively. And then, of course, somebody picks us up. Maybe mommy picks us up and then nurses us or gives us the bottle or somebody else, and holds us. If it's mommy holding us and we are nursing, of course, we are being fed. We feel the holding, we feel the warmth, we feel the contact. So there is a lot going on there. So now with what we have in our experience is a sense of the other, you know, in psychological terms, in the object relations theory, we call it the object representation. So the inner original experience of discomfort was our self representation, how we experience ourselves. That's an impression on our consciousness. And now we have the impression of the other, which is not, I mean, again, we don't have a sense of mommy as a whole person. Maybe it's just the sense of her skin or the breast or just being held in the hands and being given a bottle and being fed. So that becomes the object representation. And these two are in interaction. And there is a feeling that results from that. I feel I'm held. I feel I'm warm. I feel I'm being, soothed. There is milk flowing in my mouth. Oh, it's sweet, it's warm. Mm, I'm relaxing. The emptiness is feeling. The pain, the discomfort is relieved. So there is this general feeling of relaxation. Maybe there is a fulfillment. Maybe there is a satisfaction. There is a homeostasis that returns. Ah, that whole triad, the self representation, the object representation, and this feeling of satisfaction, relaxation that connects the two, this triad is called in psychological terms an object relation unit. Hmm? And of course, you can imagine now that experience that I described, which happens on a continual basis, as long as I am being fed, it's just one of many, 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 many experiences like that, both positive and negative, right? Some of them result in a good feeling and some of them result in not a very good resolution. But we have hundreds of these experiences every day. So over the first 4 or 5 years of our lives, we've had hundreds of thousands of these experiences. And they all have this particular structure, a generic structure of a self representation, an object representation, and the affect, the feeling that connects the two. As we develop psychologically, all of these self representations kind of come together, coalesce into a homogeneous sense of self, hopefully. If it doesn't happen, sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes they don't all coalesce into a homogeneous sense of self. And then we have big problems, big psychological problems, maybe, multiple personality disorder, all kinds of things that we don't need to go into. Yeah. And all what happens to all the object representations, the impressions of the world, the different people in our life, and the world in general, the TV going on, and then the sounds outside. Maybe it's quiet in the pleasant environment. Maybe there are aeroplanes flying over all the time. Maybe we live in a war zone and there are bombs exploding. All of that is the object representation, the objects, the world, the object representations coalesce and create our sense of the world. We call it the representational world. The feeling that connects, there is a generic feeling, a general feeling that connects us, you know? And if primarily it was a nurturing, safe, a loving environment, then, friendly environment, then we have a sense of the world is a friendly place. The world is supportive. The world is a loving place. Or the world is a hostile place. The world is dangerous. The world is out to get me. All kinds of beliefs that are not just mental, you know, statements that we said to ourselves. As a 2-year-old, as a 3-year-old, we didn't have those kinds of thoughts. It was feelings. It was, holistic kind of experiences that were, feelings, sensations that imprinted our soul. The world is a hostile place. Or the world is a friendly, kind, compassionate, loving place. And of course, fill in the gap in there, the whole spectrum between the one extreme and the other extreme. So you can see that the ego self is defined always, our sense of self is always in relation to the world, in relation to some object in the world. We are not always relating to the whole world. We are relating to parts of the world all the time, whether it's a person or a group or, and then we expand, countries and, the world in general, and then, the whole planet. And, if we are experiencing a climate change event, hurricane, that creates an impression on us also. It's like, oh, wow, Mother Earth is hungry, or whatever, however we say it to ourselves. But the important thing is that our ego self relies on external factors to feel safe, to feel validated, on familiar roles, past experiences for our sense of identity and our sense of safety and our sense of, whether it's a, you know, uh, safe environment or an unsafe environment. So when the external circumstances shift, like we have in our world today, when our security, our safety, our approval, our comfort are threatened, then our ego self reacts with anxiety, with fear, with defensiveness. You know, it's like when it's a specific event, a specific threat, usually there will be some fear. Yeah. If the fear is repeatedly triggered, then it becomes generalized. So it's like, it's not just a fear related to a particular event or object, but it's like it becomes part of our general object relational feeling of connecting us to the world. So it's a generalized fear that is not about anything in specific, but it is towards the world, and we call it anxiety. And some of us have more of that than others, depending on our experience in our early times. So this is the natural way that our ego develops. It's a natural response that is, basically is instinctual. It's based on our instinctual drives, for survival, for safety, for belonging, things like that. Or we can become defensive. We can become anxious, afraid, threatened, and then defensive. So all of those are different responses. So these drives, these instinctual drives, are very powerful. I mean, we all know when we feel threatened, when our survival is threatened, our safety is threatened, it's very difficult to stay calm, to stay quiet, to stay still, to not react. Even if we manage to not react externally, internally there is some response. When we feel our survival or our status is at risk, how other people regard us, our nervous system kicks into some kind of a response, could be the fight or flight or freeze response, that takes over, making it difficult to access the calm or the clarity or the inner peace or silence. So this is how I understand why in times of crisis or uncertainty, we often feel disoriented, we feel reactive, or we feel overwhelmed. And also, at times like that, we are also very influenceable because we feel unstable, you know, and because most of these patterns were established in those very early years of 0 to years to about 4.5, 5 year old time, uh, it's like the response from that place is the response of a child. It's like the inner child identifications is what are triggered, and that's where we respond. So we are very influenceable, you know. So the identity that is threatened is that of a little child. And then what happens? The natural tendency of the child is to turn to their parents for protection, for support, and so on, or whoever is the parenting figure in our life, right? And sometimes the threat is coming from the parent, you know, and hopefully we have somebody we can turn to for some kind of support and safety. So anyway, in current times, in the current situation, when we feel like that kind of uncertainty because of the variety of factors, you know, the political situation, the economic situation, the climate crisis, the geopolitics, all of those things together, and personal situations going on in our lives, what happens? We become like children looking for protection. And anyone who comes and says, I'll take care of you, I'll straighten things out, I'll bring stability to our world or our country or our city or to your family or to you. then it's like, almost like a child, yes, 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 please, and we are ready to go you know, for mommy and daddy to take care of us, save us. So we become very easily influenceable. So the ego self, because it is fundamentally relational and survival based, it cannot provide a stable foundation for resilience. Hmm? It relies on the external. It's like trying to stand on shifting sand. As the external circumstances are shifting, the ego feels that the ground under me is shifting because the ego is always relating to the external world. If the external world is unstable, the ego feels unstable, and it can feel like, oh my God, to the degree of that we experience that instability, it can feel confusing, unstable, scary, anxious, and that can become, of course, chronic, and it can become, even a psychological diagnosis, anxiety disorder, that then we have to take some kind of medication to treat it and so on. So you can see the continuum of the severity of the situation in different situations, how it can develop. So we need something. We need something deeper. It's like we need a ground that doesn't rely on the external circumstances or the ego's reactivity in order to be able to feel, to find, to experience that deeper sense of peace and stability. So we need to find a deeper ground of stability. You know? So in the downward approach, we discover, and I want to emphasize this word. We discover. It's not that, you know, we have a dogma, we have a belief that uh, there is a deeper dimension of who we are beyond and underneath the ego self that we can rely on. It's not a belief. We discover it experientially, you know? So today, of course, I'm just saying that there is a deeper ground. We can call it through nature, we can call it our real self, we can call it what we really are, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter to me. But one thing is, don't believe me, because it's not about believing me. If you believe me, we are just forming beliefs, you know? And if we put a lot of beliefs that are related to each other together, we form a belief system. I like to call it for short belief system BS, you know? And it is really not something to rely. You don't want to be relying on BS. You want to rely on the real thing, you know? So that's why I keep saying in my webinars and when I teach the group in Boulder or in Australia where I teach or in Boston where I teach different groups, I tell people all the time, don't believe anything I tell you. Test it, explore it, find out if it is true for you and experience for yourself what we are talking about. Your true nature. What is it for you? Don't take my word for it, please. When we believe in a particular system, after a while it becomes like a religion. And I don't want to turn the diamond approach into a religion. It's not a religion. Maybe in 100 years it will become a religion. I hope not. I hope before it becomes a religion, I hope it dies. you know, because a religion is not really, it's okay, but it's like when we believe something, we stop exploring. And so when we stop exploring, we close the door to discovery and realization. Realization means to discover and make it real in our experience. That's what this is all about. That's what the diamond approach is about. It's about experientially realizing the truth of what we are and living that truth as whatever it is: peace, love, stability, groundedness, safety, security, sense of I'll be okay, sense of trust, things will be okay. So, this true nature, this essence of our beingness, that is always present, it's always what we really are. If it is our true nature, if it is what we really are, it's always what we really are, even if we're not experiencing it. You know, I mean, we believe we are this more surface kind of self, the ego self, that has been constructed out of those object relations we talked about, but underneath that, it's like, it's like, you have a ring that is made of, say, 14 karat gold or 18 karat gold, depending on, which country you are in, you know. I was surprised when I came to the US and I found out that all the gold, the jewelry was made with 14 karat gold. I thought, why? And people were telling me, what is it inside? I said, 18 karat gold. You rarely find anything 14 karat gold in Cyprus. I said, really? But that's softer. Well, that's not how Cypriots think. That is softer. It's more real. It's more valuable. So anyway, I started learning the different values of different cultures. You know. But anyway, whatever that ring is made of, 18 karat gold or 14 karat gold or even 9 karat gold, you can cover it with some kind of a paint, right? And if that ring had an awareness, and was aware of the pain, that it just learned to recognize itself in the mirror as that, you know, green color, and it believes I am a green ring. Doesn't matter how deeply it believes it is a green ring, it is still a gold ring. It doesn't lose its goldness because it believes itself to be something else. So, in the same way, we are what we really are, our true nature, regardless of what we believe ourselves to be. So now it's a matter of actually penetrating through those more surface identifications of our ego self and discovering experientially, oh, wow, I'm not, wow, I'm feeling anxious. And as I tap into the anxiety, oh, wow, I'm feeling like a little boy, like when I was 2 years old and I was scared and I was looking for mommy. And when mommy held my hand and I was feeling, I'm safe with mommy holding my hand, you know. But hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm not a little boy holding mommy's hand and being scared. I'm an adult. I'm here. My feet are on the ground. Oh my goodness, I'm not little. I am 5'6", you know. And that shifts the feeling, I'm an adult. I'm a 71-year-old man. I'm not a child, right? So it shifts. And beyond that, it's not I am a 71-year-old man that is 5'6", that is not a 2-year-old, but also, oh, I am this presence. I am this spiritual substance, this palpability, this presence, like that liquid attention that we were talking about in our beginning, in our relaxation experience exercise that we did at the beginning. It's like I am this presence, I'm this substantiality, this palpability that actually many times feels like it expands even beyond the boundaries of my skin. Sometimes it feels like, wow, I'm filling the whole room, or I am bigger than the house, bigger than whatever the experience is, you know? But even if it is just here, is not a theoretical thing, is not an abstraction. It's like we can feel it, we can sense it, you know? And sometimes we can even see it, appearing and manifesting in different colors and densities, you know? And occasionally we can smell it and taste it even, you know? So it manifests in a variety of essential qualities, as we call them, or aspects that support our life and our spiritual journey. Spiritual journey means, again, not believing this or that or the other, but experientially discovering our true nature, what we are as spiritual beings beyond our personality, ego, self, and even our physical body. So send your feet on the ground again and take a deep breath. And just notice you're here. So the ego self is fragile and reactive. Our true nature offers a ground of stability, resilience, and peace. What we really are, our true nature, is not swayed by external circumstances or even storms. When we connect with that depth of what we are, that true nature, we find that we can respond to life's challenges with greater clarity, more courage, more calm, more inner stability, like we have ground under us, solidity under us. And this can manifest in different qualities of our true nature. So that's one of the unique things, contributions of the Diamond approach. Many spiritual paths, of course, have spoken about these things. These are non-new things. Your true nature. I mean, Buddha talked about it, Christ talked about it, Mohammed, Krishna, Shiva, many teachers, of the leaders, the founders of the different traditions have spoken about these things. you know, Find the kingdom of heaven first, and then everything else will be added unto you. Things like that, wisdoms like that. But the Diamond approach has brought something new uh, the scene, the spiritual scene, so to speak, the spiritual field of humanity, which is the essential qualities of our true nature. That our true nature, what we really are, is not just a generic presence, but it can manifest, express itself in different qualities that actually are responses to the different situations of life. So let me uh, speak a little bit about a couple of those, a few of those. Like we have one quality called living daylight. Living daylight is like a presence that you feel all around and inside that is like a golden, alive light that is warm, that when it touches you and from the inside and the outside, it feels like a holding, like you are being held by this light, and is loving, and is compassionate, and is benevolent and supportive. And when it touches us, we feel a basic kind of trust. And fundamentally, we feel that, the universe is fundamentally good and supportive. And we can relax, both emotionally, our heart and our body, physically, and our mind mentally. you know, and then we can face the unknown without going into that fear response as much or at all. You know, another quality is the what we call the white aspect because its appearance is white. You know, or sometimes it will appear like a silvery density that feels like a solid ground, like you can feel it like a solid ball of silver in your belly, in your pelvis, or you feel like your belly and your pelvis and your legs are made of silver, solid, strong, supportive ground, like you're standing on rock solid ground. Yeah? But it feels internal. It's not like an external thing. So you can feel grounded, stable, unwavering, solid. Yeah. And then you feel, yeah, I am okay. The chaos is going on around, but I am standing on solid ground. Or another quality is the red aspect, the red essence, which is strength. You know, the white one is the will aspect. So it has to do with our will capacity. The red has to do with strength, vitality, clarity, the capacity to act effectively, to take effective action. You know, so when we connect with the red quality, we feel energized, and we can feel, yes, I can do this, and we feel courageous to meet the challenges head on, and the clarity to see what needs to be done. Instead of going into fear, feeling, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh my God, everything is falling apart. What am I going to do? Helplessness, right? Instead of that, we feel, well, let me see, let me analyze the situation. Okay, what are my options? What's the best option possible? And take action. So that's what the red can do for us. So instead of the fog of the fear that makes us feel ungrounded and afraid and unstable, there is a decisiveness. We cut through that fog. We feel empowered to act with a purpose. Another is the black essence. The black essence is a stillness, a quality of stillness, power, and peace, inner peace. It's like a vast presence that is tense, quiet, still, like the stillness of night. But imagine like liquid, dense night that is quiet, still, calm, and peaceful. That's the black essence. It's like a deep, quiet, vast power that is unshakable, you know? And in the middle of turmoil, the black essence allows us to feel calm, silent, quiet, centeredness, like being in the eye of the storm. You know, from this place, we can respond with wisdom, with power, with strength, with capacity. You know? So you can see that all of the different qualities, and there are more. There are, I remember once I asked Hamid, the founder of this path, how many qualities are there? And I said, I don't know. I haven't discovered them all yet, but there are, I'm aware of close to 100 at this point, but there are more. It's like he said, so I thought, wow. I mean, you have qualities like value, which then gives you a sense of your own value without reference to anything that you have or you look like or you have done or capacities and so on. It's like a value that is not dependent on your accomplishments or your property or your appearance. It's like, wow, it's a value that is the standard of value, you know, and that quality is amber. The color of it is amber. Yeah? So there are all these different qualities. But what I think main message I want to give you here is that these qualities serve to bridge the realization, the inner realization of what we really are with the external world, to live in the world, to be in the world, but not of it. Our ego self is the product of the world, our interaction with the world. Our true nature is not of this world, is not the product of our interactions with the world. It is existent prior to our ego self. So it's first realizing that, and then through all these different qualities, you know, but they are both realizing who we are, red essence, green essence, black essence, and so on, amber, but also bringing them into action into the world, and then being in the world, but not being of the world. So being a spiritual being, having a human experience and living in the human world effectively and without being swept up by the vicissitudes of the external situations. So these essential qualities then uh, help us to not be spiritual beings in a monastery or in an ashram or in a cave or in isolation from the world, but to be what we really are, our spiritual nature in the world, living a regular life. So then our capacity to live in the world in a peaceful, calm, resilient way is not an abstract idea, but a living reality, a ground that we can return to again and again, no matter how strong the external winds may blow. It's like it's not like it's a one-time thing. Okay, I've done it and now I live in bliss. No, it's a continual thing. Challenges keep coming, and those provide the impetus to discover our nature in a deeper way and achieve deeper and deeper integration. And so it gradually continues like that. So anyway, in the Diamond approach, we want to apply these things, as you already have a very clear sense of in this talk. So I would like to offer you an exercise to do in triads, three people together, and Peter will put you in breakout rooms to do that exercise. And then we can come back and have a discussion and questions and answers. But before we go, I want to say a couple of words about just in case you need to go and you are not able to come back, that there is a group here in Colorado, in Boulder, at our center in Boulder, that is happening now. We call it Diamond Heart 10. And that group is still accepting new students for the next few months only. So if you're interested to join us, please contact me. You can contact me through our website that you have registered for this webinar. And of course, if you are able to stay on and be back after the exercise for the Q&C, you can ask me any questions you have about that. But without further ado, I've done my commercial. That was my commercial for the day. These days we have to do that stuff, don't we? So let's do an exercise that explore this in your own experience. So take, let's say, take 15 minutes each. A good timing. So let me give you the exercise and then we'll calculate. So for 15 or 10 minutes each in a triad, reflect on how external events and your instinctual drives and personality style ego self affect your sense of calm and stability and explore experiences, moments when you have touched this deeper ground of what you really are, what we call true nature, or whatever else you call it. No? So explore how external events, your instinctual responses, and your ego self uh, affect your sense of calm and stability, and also explore moments of groundedness into your deeper nature.